at me. I'm like,
I be talking to my kids in different voices, just depending on what I need them to do. Like sometimes they be asking me questions. I be like, y'all mama is not here. This Miss Keisha. I'm the babysitter. When your mama get back, I'm gonna tell her you did not listen.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
you one of them babysitters.
She crazy. I'm one of them. Wait, I don't know. Look, is there others? Are there others like me?
Yes. I don't know how to answer that. I don't want you like. You seem like a haunt you in your sleep type person.
I just might. It ain't gonna be a haunting, baby.
like SpongeBob, you going.
They'd have to change the. They'd have to change the meaning. It'd have to be a loving.
I'm finna
Like,
tell
damn.
everybody. Oh, hold on, my bad.
Ruin people's dreams.
All right, everybody. Did everybody share the link? I better share the link.
I'm in the chat today.
Well, you know what? That's what I need to do is go to the thing.
Dropping my boxes, checking in. Hey. You know the best noise that make is like on the MacBook when you send an email, it'd be like.
The best.
Yeah, that's the best one. It's smooth. It's how it feels. It's like, all right, cool. I don't gotta worry about no more shit.
Oh, it's a green message. That's a red flag. The green message is definitely a red flag in 2022.
I can't go live on here.
Is it,
I mean,
is it a red flag?
Green messages. Yeah.
That's the thing.
Everybody has something to say
Drake
about
song.
green messages. What's wrong with?
If you don't got an iPhone and your shit green, like you gotta be traveling or something.
And
Or
what if
they
you're
have
not?
an Android.
Yeah, that's what it means. Or like you're
All right, y'all. Y'all put y'all phones on silent if they aren't already. Oh.
I'm already in there. Yeah, I done already checked in. Yeah, you know.
Not that he giving game. How do I see the
sound?
comments?
I'm like, damn,
How do I see the
y'all,
comments?
y'all definitely hearing us today. All right, Mimi, I need a little more background, dog. I'm over here
I'm sorry.
getting particular wedgies and shit. You know what I'm saying?
My divine masculine is very like, got a big bone.
No. Just need to see the comments.
It's my hypothetical phallus.
Thanadia.
Can you pull it up? Because when I hit the link, it don't go to the
Thanadia
YouTube
on the
app.
way.
It go to Safari.
Wait on Thanadia.
Man, you see, I sampled the Poppy Woo-ha-ha laugh. From
The
Proud
Poppy
Family.
Woo-ha-ha. I'm gonna need y'all mic. I don't know if that's gonna blow y'all mic out or not. That's crazy. All right, y'all. Everybody got their phone on silent. Everybody got.
I mean, my tea, I don't know, just on the table.
Greetings, Earthlings. Ooh, with the save. Greetings, Earthlings. We are back with another Cosmic Cast. I am Mother Alien, and of course, I'm your host. Today, we got the Cosmic Crew with us. We got our guy, Tony Snow.
Welcome to the show.
And for his first time visiting the spaceship, we got our guy, Harrison.
How's it going, y'all?
Okay.
Glad to be here.
Okay, you got the bass in your voice. We got our girl, Mimi Soul.
What's good, y'all? How y'all doing?
sounding all velvety, and we got our guy chef,
By my clothes.
Mr. By My Clothes. Mr. By My Clothes.
So you already know.
Yeah. Yeet,
like-
yeet, yeet, yeet. All right, so getting straight into it. Today, I got a question for y'all. How do y'all think we came about as humans? Start with you, Tanya.
I'm a believer in the starseed theory. We come from other planets. I believe there was a planet between Mars and Jupiter.
Starseed. So what is a starseed?
Our planet was like basically terraformed using asteroids by another civilization.
And so we collided through other.
Basically, they throw asteroids because most asteroids are made of this ice
Right.
and like bacteria, and so like within that bacteria, there's like a chemical compound for life. You throw enough asteroids on the planet, it like cools it and heats it at the same time, so it makes the greenhouse effect. You get atmosphere.
So that's the planet.
Yeah, that's like turning like an inhabitable rock into a livable planet, a Goldilocks zone planet.
But how did we come about as humans? Like evolution?
Maybe not evolution, but like a science experiment. Like we were grown, and like once we were put in motion, it's like okay, now give them spirit. You know what I'm saying? Give them thought and creation.
So you don't believe we did something like developed from primates?
I believe that like the primate was like the optimal like mammal at the time, so they used DNA from the primate to make their creation. Like you have to take aspects of the greatest predators and the greatest prey of all society. That's why we have like a snake brain in our like. There's a part of our brain that we share it with a snake. Why do you think like 98% of our DNA is the same as a pig?
90% of our DNA
Over
is the same.
Sir,
90%
whose
of our DNA
whose
we share
DNA,
with
sir?
I ain't cooking like bacon, dog.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why we don't eat pork.
Sir.
And so Mimi got a question.
No, no. I don't have a question. I'm just like, I am appalled. No. I'm playing. I'm joking. Go ahead.
That's yeah.
So
Yeah. Whoppy wop
So,
wham.
We're science experiments. We're literally science experiments. That's what I believe.
is that why it's the survival of the fittest?
Yeah, like it was, but it's not. It's not as simple as survival of the fittest. Like we were here to name the plants and the animals and stuff on Earth. So like, it's up to us to survive. But like, it's more than survival. It's creation. It's like expansion. It's reaching beyond and like doing the same thing, right? Then we take that technology and we go seed another planet, an inhabitable planet.
You think we can physically seed a planet?
Yeah.
You think you could take that body to a planet? I'm just asking.
I mean, probably not this physical
Right,
form,
yeah,
but
yeah.
like we can send the chemical compound to create life.
The chemical
Alright.
compound.
Yes.
All right, so
Okay.
And once we send that, it's gonna create the conditions for it. Once the conditions are created, then we can go.
So almost.
somebody was. So what I hear is there's this all-encompassing somebody who is smart enough to say, mate these two people together to create humans.
Maybe
But
that
who
was the
is
natural-
that somebody? Because it had to be, they didn't just be like, ooh, idea. It had to be either somebody directing or it had to be a group on a mission.
It could've
So,
been like human nature.
but it can't be human nature if humans haven't been formed yet.
I mean, I've seen studies where they've shown like great apes starting to use tools and starting to like create stone tools like in the last 100 years. So it might be a progression of just instinct. I mean, it doesn't really matter, I guess, where we came from in my mind. It's what are we doing here right now? Because all we have to go on is 6,000 years of written stuff down by men who and women live only 60 years at the most. That's like half a percentage of what's been written down. And so, I mean, we could be from animals. We could be from a creative species, you know? And all those are fucking awesome.
Do you think that it was evolution?
I don't know. I don't know what, I mean, it depends. I think people evolve every day. I think everything evolves. It's adapting to your environment. Like it's where are you at right now, and then I gotta be at this place, which is in general like in nature.
But we're talking today about where we came from. I understand where we are now, but we're talking today specifically about where we came from. Like we're focused on that today. So do you think that we came from evolution? Are you a praying man? Do you think we came from Adam and Eve?
I think Adam and Eve is a metaphor, but I think then it is an actual origin story. But, you know, that's me. I definitely think it's interesting if you look at the book of Genesis, chapter 1, it talks about, and God said, let us make man and woman in our image. And in Genesis chapter 2, it's the Lord God made Adam in his own image. And it's just, so I personally think that Adam and Eve is more of a metaphor on the human condition, but there was a creator that actively had his hand into what we are today, whether it was evolution or not. We might have evolved from something smaller, but I still think that there's a higher force that guided that to where we are today.
I think there's a higher force. Okay, that's good. Mimi, what you got to say?
I don't even know where to start, but I think that what we always get confused in everything is that we want to say we, when I think we come from different places. So people aren't necessarily right or wrong. It's like, what cosmic tribe did you come from? Where did you come from? Because there are people such as the Choctaw, which that's what I am, that say they come from the mounds of the earth. They said, like, things happen. I don't want to get into the story. And they came out of the mounds, and those mounds are still in North America. So it's like we can't look at somebody and be like, you a starseed, but I came from God. I'm Adam and Eve. Whenever that story, if you look at it Hebraically, there were a people of light. We don't know if it was just two people. It could have been a civilization. The thing is, there were people of light who fell, and now they have the serpent skin, which could be everybody's story. But the thing is, it's never one way. It's always an ecosystem of things that occur to create this thing that we are doing called life. So I guess like we come from different places. So boom, that was my answer. She about to make me be quiet. She about to be like, girl, what's the answer, dog?
So what I was gonna say. So are you saying that we're pretty much a melting pot?
Yeah.
Like, so you think that there are multiple origin stories, or do you think, who was the first though?
So I don't.
It has to be one, right? It has to be one to make two.
I don't like getting into that, but I will. I do believe that it was the creator, Yahuwah. Do I believe, which is the God of the Bible? I do believe it because he's the only one, he's the only text, and I mean ancient text, that comes through and say, hey, this is what it is, you can listen or not. And I believe that's always the nigga that actually created it. So I do believe it was him. But there are other things that go with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There are other stories of war. And you know that question of, does God have brothers and sisters? There are stories of cosmic war where other people, other beings seeded the planet against his will, but his will goes for the realm he created, like a computer program. So there could be other wills, you know what I'm saying, on other realms that he ain't got nothing to do with. But we don't know. Those are questions that we get to ask and think about, and he gets to give us downloads on, you know what I'm saying?
Y'all can hear me on the lapel.
Y'all like that?
I'm just thinking, y'all have to think, like, who was, you said the God of the Bible, so I'm going to say God, was the first person, so you believe Adam and Eve was the creation of human. You don't think there was anything, because what is truly BC? BC is before Christ, right?
Yeah.
So
like a
was
Latin
Adam
name.
and Eve really the start of the story?
No, I don't believe they were for the humans. I do believe for human, like I believe that, yeah, but there were other species.
Wait, hold on.
Things
What, for human? What
Yeah.
does that mean?
For the man of
Human.
color,
Human?
hues,
Like a
the
hue.
man
like
of
a color,
hues.
right?
Yeah, no word.
Not
No,
just
I haven't
human.
heard that either.
Not
I
just
haven't
like the
heard,
human race,
Yeah.
but
Because
heard
light,
that?
what does light do?
Human.
If we had bodies of
HUE,
light,
Man, like that's what you mean?
like HUE,
yeah.
like a human. Because etymology, no matter if you got a HU or a HUE, you're dealing with the same thing. So
You said etymology?
yeah, etymology.
Etymology. I thought you said etymology.
Oh yeah, y'all gonna be pulling out y'all
Get
y'all
your
little
dictionaries, get your
today, 'cause
thesauruses.
they using some SAT words. If y'all not from Texas,
Wait.
that's the state
Wait.
exam.
Took the ACT.
All right, Chef, what you think?
Chef, ass Ketchum here. I'm from a faraway place called the Meow. You know what I'm saying? Meow. You feel me? I take a practical approach. You know what I'm saying? I believe I came from and we all came from, so Adam and Eve. Now, how Adam and Eve came about, I believe that God created Adam and Eve. There are a bunch of theories that are out there. We shall further debate them today. This is what Chef believes. That's my take. And now that we've all got through our beliefs.
Okay, so
Damn, we could debate. Hey,
Good job,
look, we
good job,
was
good
turning
job.
out before.
hold on, because there's something I was watching. I was looking up some stuff on this today because I wanted to be a little bit more in the conversation instead of just learning. I wanted to kind of be in it. So I decided to look at some stuff. I watched some TV shows and things like that. Some was BS, some wasn't. But one thing that I did see is that in a lot of the classic and older drawings, there are UFO in the backgrounds, like but no, in the drawings, in the paintings, you'll see like UFOs in the back or saucers, not hieroglyphs, they're paintings.
Like Leonardo da Vinci
Yeah,
paintings.
Da Vinci paintings,
Right.
the
Is it like
older
a saucer
Renaissance.
painting?
Oh, I
Yeah,
know
like
what
they
you're
could
talking
be
about.
birds.
Yeah, the
Ah,
ones
they
that
don't look
show
like
like the Last Supper, like things. And I wanted to challenge because we've mentioned before that sometimes you don't know how to describe spaceships, right? So there is, in a lot of these paintings, it's like a saucer beaming down on Jesus. It's not a sun, it's a saucer. It's some type of...
Like he was abducted.
I know what you're
No,
talking about.
not abducted. Like it was, like it had something, aliens had something to do with the birth of Jesus. So what I wanted to challenge was, you know how they said like the North Star was the guiding light? So for those who know, the North Star was the guiding light to the manger.
Oh, like when they used
Proxy
to like
Centauri?
before like GPS and maps and stuff, right?
No, that guided the wise men to the birth of Jesus.
That was the North Star that guided the
I'm
wise.
thinking.
Yes.
just
It was a.
I'm thinking.
He's telling you. Hold on. He's telling you. Go
no,
ahead.
It was just a star that was illuminated by God to guide them to his birth.
So yes. So the North Star guided the wise men to Jesus, to the birth of Jesus, right? So what if that was a spaceship?
That's the kind of talk I like to have. Yeah.
It was just like a strobe light or something. Like
Not a strobe light. It was a light.
Yeah,
It was they didn't know how to describe it. It was a light guiding them. And then all of these paintings, that's not blasphemous. Nobody says like,
That's not blasphemous
and
at
all
all.
of these
Yeah, it was just a
paintings and
creation.
all of these paintings of people who did not get in a group chat together and say, let's draw these saucers and and all of these Jesus referenced pictures. They're from different people spread out. And why would they do that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me look it up because I know what you're talking about. But also, There's a book I told you, Visitations from Yahweh. It's got the flying saucer with a cross on it. You need to read that.
Yeah.
It's not blasphemous at all to say that.
And it's not. I don't think that it's blasphemous to say that the aliens had something to do, because you don't know. Everybody's saying higher intelligence. They said that the aliens had something to do with the Mayans.
And you have an immaculate conception.
And exactly. How could anything take place biblically if it ain't aliens?
Unless it was like a what do they call it, in vitro fertilization? Do you know what that is?
Yes.
What if they were? Yeah. What if they were doing that way back then? What if the aliens were doing that?
Yeah. No, real talk.
No, but I mean, it's just realistic that if you don't know how to explain something, you're gonna call it something that you're
Right.
familiar
Exactly.
with, right?
Yeah.
So I would think that maybe the spaceship guided them, and then what the people depicted was the spaceship doing the light because it was illuminated, right?
Yeah.
What if Jesus was like the genetically perfect human that could like survive on Earth without temptation? What if he was genetically modified, the first and only human? That's why he was considered the son. Like, you were my son, and you're gonna go to Earth to personally save these people because they obviously can't get it right.
That sounds so legit, especially. I mean, in my line of thought, have you ever heard? I want to ask you: have you ever heard of the theory of Noah's Ark being a spaceship, and they took on samples, like how they DNA samples of everything, right, so that whenever after everything flooded, they could come back and redo everything. Like,
I haven't heard that theory, but that sounds super plausible too. Like, it's literally when you separate science from religion, you only get one half of each story.
Get lost.
But there was a reason for that flood.
What if the father was literally the ultimate scientist? It looked like magic almost. Like it was like a miracle somehow, but all you had to do was just think it.
Like the real kind, like a
he
real
spoke the words and it happened.
Or alchemist.
Because he was manipulating matter with his words, just frequency from his voices.
And he made a bunch of us
that will be done. Thank you for doing that.
I mean, that's what Jesus speaks on.
You saying that maybe Jesus was the perfect made human, and then, but that goes with your theory again of how you think that we were created.
Exactly. Like they sent people here through just seeding. Like they didn't have to send any rocket ships over here because we obviously can't survive in a vacuum. Man, this physical form cannot survive in the vacuum for that long. Our bones start to deteriorate, our muscles fall apart, our eyes stop working.
I do think that, I personally think that there is a higher force in play.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Right. I do think, because it has to be something masterminding the thing. It's not just going to be, I hear y'all say about the studies, I'll admittedly say that I don't know the studies of the apes who started using tools. I'll admittedly say I don't know that.
I'll find a video.
But at the same time, it's like, no, somebody masterminded humans. Still, there was no adaptations that needed to be done. They're eating the animals. Somebody had to mastermind. Somebody had to put it together. I cannot watch that right now. But somebody has to put it together, and get us. It has to be a higher power involved. I do think we were created. I don't think that it was something where we evolved. I will say that.
How you feel we came about? You ain't gave us your piece yet. What's up?
She's saying it right now, bro.
But what if some people did evolve? Like, what if some beings on here, because, like, have you ever spoken to someone who just don't seem like they're there? It's just like they're what the Bible would consider carnal. And it's like you have no concept of spiritual things, do you? What if their DNA did?
But we didn't evolve from another species. We're not an adaptation of the earth. We weren't like a cat to a lion.
Yeah, like one day a lion had a jaguar. I get what you're saying.
From the gorillas, the primates.
Yeah, I don't think that either.
We didn't do that.
That's weird science. Yeah.
we didn't have the intelligence to use tools. I do believe that it was a download. Even when I'm thinking about Adam and Eve, that's a download. Like,
Yeah.
you got these rules that you understand. You're expected to understand. It's not something they were taught or like we're nurtured up to see. You know, like when you're human, you're a kid, you learn right from wrong. You know, it's like, ooh, that hurt. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of knew. It was like, even when Eve was created from the rib, she knew her role. She knew that's a download.
Yeah. I
That's
feel
a
you.
creation. I do not feel like evolution. I think evolution is out. I think that's the least way that we were created. I mean, does anybody?
I don't disagree with that at all.
So you feel like we were originally downloaded, and then from that point on, we evolved to human beings of today.
I think we were created human form. Like, we weren't. So, like, we were always a being like this. Legs, arms, torso, head, feet. We were always a
Like
being.
we wasn't no alligator or nothing.
I want to say something.
Oh yeah, I feel you on that.
How old do y'all think the Earth is?
I don't know. It's a realm. I feel like, so I don't know about age and everything like that.
Time has no meaning to you.
Yeah. Nah, it doesn't.
No, I mean in a sense. No, I mean in a sense, if it's
I
a
know what you
realm,
mean.
there's no time.
There wouldn't be time and space. I mean, yeah. I
Relative.
just think it's been different things throughout time. But I wanted to speak to evolution. It's funny because I always say, it's never one way. It's always both. We do evolve. We have evolved spiritually and emotionally and mentally over time, even though we've always been the created being, which is why we need different dispensations and stuff of ancient knowledge to be able to evolve it and get it where it needs to be, etherically speaking. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think we always get tricked because we're always convinced to divide things. Did we evolve or were we created? Well, we were created, but we had to evolve.
But
so.
no, we were. But the first.
But I
was
know what you
created
mean, like-
because we came as a
Yeah.
man. We didn't come in as a baby and grew up. Like, that's not. There's not. Can anybody think of an origin story where it was a baby and grew up? Do you know one?
Where it was a baby.
Grew up,
But there's probably
everybody was a
ancient, like,
man,
native
right?
stories where there was a baby and it was the only baby, and then another baby came out. Like, there's probably an ancient
I'm pretty
aboriginal
sure,
story from somewhere.
Like the start of Rome.
but that's
Rome
wrong.
started from
That's not the start
two
of
brothers.
mankind.
Well, that's the start of a civilization. They eventually took over, most of the known world.
A civilization.
It's like a small sample, but they had a big impact on civilization.
I think this is a good time to chat. You know what I'm saying? Y'all heard some great origin story. Which one, you know what I'm saying? Just leave whichever one, you know what I'm saying, most resonates with y'all. Y'all got any different ones, you know what I'm saying? Feel free to, you know what I'm saying, hit that bell, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right. Hit that like button.
Now where were we at?
All right, so no, but I'm talking mankind, civilization. Mankind was already around, so I'm talking mankind. I cannot think of one origin story where it was like the first man was a baby.
Nah, me neither.
The
But
first man was a
now I'm
baby.
gonna try and find. I'm gonna look for one because it's probably like in an Asian story
It
or
has to
something.
be
It's gotta be
somewhere.
somewhere. It was a
Somewhere.
baby, and then one
Can
day it
you
was a
think of
bunch of
one,
people.
Harrison?
That's crazy. Somebody had to learn. Like, even though, like,
No,
I
cannot think
believe
of
in God.
anything.
We have
I
a
feel like
commenter.
At some point, God had to be like, I don't know if he ever was a child, but like he had to be either like adolescent or like something. Like you had to figure it out.
Who was the first person in civilization?
Adam.
Just the first
Adam was a man.
person.
What if he came in as like a
Adam,
kid?
but Adam came out grown.
Young kid.
Like,
Yeah,
but,
he
like,
came
you
out
know
grown.
saying?
That's what I'm
Like,
saying. Nobody came out as a baby.
Well, does it say how old Adam was, or like what age
does.
Adam?
Bro, it wasn't no Boy Meets World shit going on, man.
What do you mean?
Because
Because it says be like a child. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It says
yeah.
to like. So why wouldn't Adam be like Jungle Book? You know what I'm saying? Like the kid from he was running with the
So
jaguars
interesting.
and crawling in the dirt with the snakes, and like that's how he learned what the
That's
names were,
interesting.
because they told him.
Where's Eve?
She came out of his rib. Once he became a man, he got lonely. He was like, what are these animals? These animals can't do anything for me.
That's so
I need
interesting.
something, Father.
Because when I think
Help
about
me, I'm
somebody who
depressed.
truly serves the Most High, I
He
always
put the
think of the
rib in the
Rasta
dirt.
man. And the Rasta man is like in the jungle, in the hills, steaming the herb, chilling, and talking to God. So I think that is, I like that.
It was a young boy, and he had to experience life just like Jesus did. He walked for 33 years. 32.
The Most High does things and
Just took
decency and
DNA,
in order.
bone
So
marrow.
we have
It's
kids
science.
here.
Think. Don't
There are
just like.
kids.
It took like the marrow from his rib. Yeah, science and religion. You separate it, it looks like it's woo woo.
You lost.
Like
You
Cap,
lost.
it's not. It's not what it is. It's not what it appears to be. Of course, he didn't literally do surgery and take his rib out. No, he took DNA. Like the perfect man was taken.
But he would be.
So-
Why would he
You
not
call it
have
alchemy or
alchemy?
chemistry?
Why would the Most High
Which one?
God not have alchemy and not know
Or
alchemy?
There
voodoo?
is.
Even with alchemy, though, when you look at it, a replication never like perfectly the same. So that would mean that there would be.
Those people lived for thousands of years, though.
That theory, they got the fruit of life theory, like, oh, she ate the fruit, so where's the flaw?
But look,
There you
it
go.
was perfect at one point, and it had no
How is it
flaws.
perfect if you took a ditto?
We don't have that original DNA. That's why we have the flaws, but they didn't have any flaws.
You're
That's
also
why they lived for 1,000 years.
They also didn't have mainstream media and the
Yeah.
Matrix to convince them that they had to die in like
and
the
you also
90s.
didn't have a civilization where women could really speak for themselves and add to this origin story.
Exactly.
spoken
We
to-
forget about
So
the
we have men who came through and wrote all this stuff down named Moses. What do you hear about any of the women in the Old Testament?
We never hear about Mary. Mary was
never
his
hear.
favorite disciple. He
Yeah,
talked
they
with her
took that book
privately.
out.
No,
He
that's
never-
Jesus and
But-
Mary, but like
But the first, even with all of that,
That's
I
what
just
you
wanted
made me
to hear
think
what y'all
about.
had to say. Even with all of that, even if he came out a young boy, he didn't come out a baby that's gotta be. He didn't do that.
Maybe a
He
bear.
came out of.
Maybe a bear took him in
I
her
mean, but
arms
I was
and
gonna let
raised him.
y'all have it, but either
Raised
way,
like a
it's
wolf.
what if it's a story just on the human condition, not an actual story of human origin? Like, okay, so basically you have man who we name everything, right? We call anything something, right? There's always a name that we create everything, and I guess it goes to what's the word? In the beginning, God spoke. Everything came into existence by speaking, and so Adam is a kind of a mini, like as above, so below. As basically, he's a mini version of God in that sense, and he's naming everything. And then when Eve comes along, it's like back thousands and thousands of years ago, before we had civilization, we had tribes of people. And so the woman has to be very cognizant about her surroundings because she's taking care of the children, right? So she has to be able to see colors, like fruit, but also snakes. Because what's going to get you when you're not paying attention? A snake. And what you don't see. And so Eve eating that fruit was a metaphor explaining our awakening to our vulnerability. Because in a sense, we are created in God's image, and we're all perfect. We're all created in the image of God. We can do everything that He did and more. Jesus said that.
Yeah.
You will do as I do, and you will do more. So we have to outgrow that fear of our vulnerability
Yeah.
and see that we are capable of anything because we're made in God's image. And so that's my take on Adam and Eve. It's just a story representing how our fall, which is not really a fall, it's just kind of a fear. It's a fear of not being enough. It's a fear of, letting down the perfect ideal.
I honestly, I truly agree with you because everything is in layers. Like it's that too. But then it's also a symbolic story of creation. And it's also because the English language dumbs everything down, it's also bigger than what we read in like King James version, so we know it actually happened. Because these ancient tribes in Africa and all over have the account, especially Ethiopia, like mainly. So, but I believe it's that too, because in this generation, we were going to have to be able to break it down differently. We couldn't use the physical no more. The physical has failed us at this point because of the matrix. So we have to have that layer of philosophy to carry on now. It's getting cosmic now. It's no longer physical. So that's what people need to hear and know. Like that's the biggest missing piece of church. You know what I'm saying?
Everything that you were ever afraid of.
Man.
I love y'all to death.
The magic.
Y'all still ain't answering.
But that was good though, but still,
was-
that
that
it
was
does.
Siding with house right here. Hey, us sticking together.
That was a.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was
That was an
a-
all-around
First,
explanation.
Who gave the blueprint? Who gave the plan? Who
I
had
did
to,
answer that
find
already.
out,
So Yana
boom,
Live,
I
Yana
can eat
Live
this.
said aliens made us.
Hold on,
Straight
but
up, we
That's what it
said
makes it
that.
seem
evolution,
like.
if you
Yeah.
believe in evolution,
What do you mean
who's throwing
evolution?
their
It's not
ass?
evolution.
I don't
It's
believe in
creation.
evolution.
No, we didn't. Nobody agreed
We are
with
a
evolution.
creation.
Okay, so
We're
those
not.
who
We didn't have to
believe in
evolve.
evolution.
Every day
I
you
heard
evolve,
some
bro.
evolution points being brought up.
What do you?
For those stances,
You mean like
who fell
you
on
mean
their
like a
ass?
big grand evolution, like from a guppy to a man?
Well, we actually
that just
do
doesn't
evolve
make
because
sense.
you start out as a
Scientific
tadpole.
evolution, like,
So you
What,
do
what do you
evolve.
mean by that?
Who's
Explain the word evolution
Who
then.
is them? Like whoever's like,
Who is-
if you believe like, okay, we were downloaded.
Yeah.
There gotta be somebody who's like, this nigga had all the juice.
Oh,
I said who I thought they would.
You know what I'm saying?
there was a
If it was
master
a
plan.
scientist.
Some of the audience members, or the chat was, excuse me, chat. Fuchsia D said aliens created humans as a slave race, and I was looking
race.
I was looking. I don't want to
Oh, no.
mispronounce the name. It's the
Anunnaki. Yeah.
Yes,
Nokia.
I was looking at them, and yeah, the first they said that the aliens came here, and the conditions weren't good, so they created aliens to be slaves. Those aliens were too smart and tried to overthrow the Anunnaki race, and they said, nah, and they did it again.
What did you? I always
So
feel
the
like
aliens are a slave, were first created as a slave race, and I was wondering. Go
I have a
ahead.
question.
Well, like with the aliens, I mean, like when you talk about the Anunnaki as well, like some of the aliens, like, how can I say it? Like, well, I mean, I feel like this here. Who says? I know we say God, right?
Mhm.
But I mean, then we, I know they say aliens created this and that, but I'm just saying. I mean, who could put a name on God? You know what I'm saying? Like he's everything. I mean,
Yeah, I
I
think,
don't even
yeah.
say he. I mean, it's everything, right?
Right.
Everything and everything. So, like he created everything. So if it was an alien, then that alien would be God. Then. I mean,
That's
I'm
the
just
point,
saying,
right.
That's what created.
We
But
don't
my
know
thing,
what's behind it. We don't know who God is, like a person. Like I can't be like, for lack of better words, God is John Doe. You know, because
Yeah.
we can't put a figure to God. If it's the aliens that created us, then
Actually,
that's
well, they
They
said
did.
fallen angels.
the higher
The
power.
fallen angels and God are in the same image, though, right?
They were all
said they're the
created
same
in
image,
one
right?
realm.
I mean, they pretty much.
We can't even look at them.
Well,
They're unperceivable because our eyes
no,
would
I mean,
burn
the
out.
Watchers were angels, right?
Right.
Okay, they're fallen angels, right?
Right.
And they were made in
Right.
the image of God. I mean,
Yeah.
in His image too, right?
The angels
or-
were. Where does
yeah.
that say that?
Huh?
Where? I'm at the.
The Watchers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
they were
says
the
that?
one. That's who. I thought.
Not all
Look,
angels.
but I'm just saying. But I mean,
You-
that's Lucifer was an angel.
Yeah.
Fallen angel. He, like that snake. Like when he was talking about metaphors. Like
Beginning, he was talking to the other angels, and he said, "Let us make them." in
You
our
right.
image."
You show
yeah.
right. Dang, I didn't even think about
Yeah.
that. That's
So
deep.
when he's doing that, it's more like when he was talking about Adam and Eve. The apple when he was saying the apple represents knowledge.
Mhm.
So I mean, it comes back to the slave race. So they were mad that they gave us knowledge because without knowledge, it was easier to be a slave race. They didn't want us to be smart.
Right.
So that's what they was supposed to, like when and that image what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? They didn't want us to be slaves. They
So
wanted
that's
to
why
be.
we built
And so the
pyramids.
apple when the serpent,
how
which
it was
was
possible.
fallen angel, he's telling her he told her knowledge and she listened, and then she went and gave it back to Adam. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't the apple was like an apple that she bit. It was apple that it was knowledge.
She had
that,
the knowledge of the land, how to
well, he was just
how to
giving her
use-
knowledge. Not knowledge is
how to live off the
everything.
earth, how to
No,
not
yeah.
need a god, how to not need a
Everything.
master.
What you
It's
about
like
to
with
say?
technology.
I don't. I
everything,
just don't want to come on.
technology is, and then you got things.
It's a
The fallen
crutch.
angels had sex with the with regular women.
And
They
then
started
made
having-
Men of
uh,
renown.
They started having.
Yeah,
that's when
yeah.
they started having
Godsons.
Nephilim.
that's when they started having the gods on earth. You know what I'm saying?
Giants.
That were crossbreeds. You know
Right,
what I'm saying?
so-
And that's where the flood came from.
so in all
Dinosaurs.
of that,
Dinosaur. This is a dinosaurs was before all that. This is a reptile. This is a reptile planet.
Yeah, and
So
water,
this
a
ain't-
water
so
planet.
that's
This ain't a
another
human planet.
theory
It's a
that I want to
reptile
bring
planet.
up. So
This is a
hold on.
reptile
So what about the first
Hold on, hold on,
reptiles
hold
that
They
were
brought-
here?
Hello?
they-
What
they-
happened
Hello?
to those
reptilian
guys?
planet.
Oh.
What happened to the first
Hello?
reptiles?
The reptile-
Hello?
they destroyed.
Hold on.
They were
So
destroyed?
that's another theory that we were created from reptiles.
Hold on.
But not creative. I mean, I didn't hear about it.
We have snake brains. We have a part of our brain. I think it's the hippocampus is a
Well, they
snake
were-
brain.
No, that show
You know,
memory. That show
reptiles-
short term.
They were
It's your
reptilians
brain
in
stem.
human form
Brain
too.
stem.
Just
Oh.
like, just
So
like
so from the base of your
Have you
spine
seen-
all
they
the way
got-
up to your brain,
they
it's a
got,
part of a
they
snake.
got eggs. They got these old million eggs with dinosaurs, with people riding on top of dinosaurs, right? That ain't real humans. That was reptilians. You know what I'm saying?
Like those were like the most advanced of all the reptiles.
Bro, look,
that were
Chef
on
just
the
had
planet.
an aha.
They were just like human. They
Yeah.
were able to talk with it,
Hyper.
You know.
Where else would
Intelligent
we get these cartoons from?
But
So yeah,
they're the ones
The
that
cartoons.
they
went
had
in
to
the
have
earth.
some.
That they said
Can't-
some
you're not
people,
just creating
like
out of
when
thin
he
air.
was
Somebody
talking about
saw
some came
something.
from the earth, some came from a
Atlantis. Atlantis is really the reptilians.
I mean, but there were different kingdoms.
There's seafaring reptiles. There's reptiles that like
They're
the
reptilian.
iguana
Yeah.
can dive like 30, 40 feet. Iguana
yeah.
can dive 30, 40 feet. Imagine a thing with a tail 6 feet, 7 feet tall. How long would his tail be?
So
Like Frieza.
I just want to take it back. If that's
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I'm talking
So,
about. Like
because
he's
it's funny-
jumping 20
Hold on.
feet in the air.
Hold on, Tony.
Because it's funny that you brought up the Watchers and the angels being made in His image and all of that, and earlier you brought up a difference in the Lord God and the whole "let us make them in our."
Yeah, that's
In our
Elohim.
image.
in
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Bible.
So there's a guy online. He breaks it down with his name is Jonathan Kleck. He breaks it down between the Greek and the Hebrew and all. He just gets you the original meaning of the word. So in the beginning, when it says they made man in their image, that word there meant vain show. So they made these slaves, and then there's a Lord God that comes in and goes, "Now I gotta fix this later," and it's a difference in the usage of the word. And so I thought that was interesting that y'all both kind of touched on that.
Yeah, I do. Now, I want to do just an episode on the Anunnaki.
Anunnaki.
I don't know.
I have another question for you.
Yeah.
Where did you hear about the Anunnaki? Because you know there's the black and brown story, and then there's like the ancient
So-
astronaut theory.
The word
So whatever they're called.
Anunnaki means from Anu they come. Anunnaki is a Sumerian word. So from the father, from the Godfather, they come.
So
That's what
yes,
Anunnaki
that's
means.
where I was told to look at the Sumerian. I was looking for topics. I was looking at the Mayan conspiracy, and it didn't fit this. And then I was told to look at the Sumerian. And when I was looking at that, we fell on the Anunnaki, and it was interesting because that is a creation story. So I'm just now being introduced to it. Shout out to the producers. Just being introduced to it, so we will do a full episode on it probably later, just to compare it to some of the things that we believe, because I do think that humans again were created like men. Like he popped out a man, some type of put together matter. It wasn't a baby that grown up like we had no knowledge and then we got knowledge that way. As you can see, eating the apple, I feel like that's a download. I feel like we came out of man and then the apple is a download. I don't believe that we came from evolution. I don't believe we came from. If a reptile race is like the all higher power, we were still made like this, like as our figure. We didn't come from an animal. We didn't come from a primate, which is the monkey, the gorilla. I don't think that we came from any of that. I think that aliens, I think that it was proven. Shout out to everybody who came through: Fuchsia, Yana, Third Eye Ninja, Santiago. Third Eye Ninja said, tell the guy with the white shirt to explain those tattoos. So we're going to let him explain one or two of his tattoos, because we did ask him earlier. He has one or two cool ones. So Harrison is his name. Harrison, do you want to explain one or two of your tattoos?
Sure, I'll explain one. So the first tattoo I got was, and God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. And for me, the reason I got that was, I thought it was very interesting that the God of the Bible, and all the times that it describes itself, you know, the first time it really does, when Moses asks directly, who do I say who sent me to Egypt? That's the next line. And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And every single day, you, me, every single person on this planet says, I am something. And if we're made in God's image, every breath we breathe, every word we speak is going to be creative. So how creative are you getting when you say I am? Are you being destructive with your I ams? Like, I am sick, poor, weak, sad. If God's perfect and we're made in the image of perfection, then we can't be any of those things. So it's just a reminder for myself too.
And which tattoo is that?
This one right
This
here.
one right here.
Okay.
Exodus 3:1-4.
Yo, I love that.
And I would like to thank, I guess, Harrison for coming through and flying on this
Appreciate y'all guys
spaceship
for
with
having me.
us.
This was great.
Yeah, I'd like to thank.
Go through those comments.
Go through. I did. Third Eye Ninja said the religions are from the aliens. Third Eye Ninja said it's an experiment to see how different races and species work together or operate to see if they fall or evolve. That was to Tony Snow's comment.
I like that. I never thought about that.
It's an experiment. That's what Tony Snow
Races.
said.
With the different races to see, because we're, you know.
Since you got a sexy voice, the movie phone. The movie phone guy.
Fuchsia said aliens created humans as an alien, as a slave race, which we talked about. Yana said aliens made us. Santiago Dunbar said, I'm pretty sure we're science experiments. Also, we have all the knowledge and how to control our environment. We talked about that. Third Eye Ninjas asked him to explain his tattoo. Santiago said, not the freeze reference. Santiago said, the earth has the same conditions that every civilization has. The changing of the guards is real thing. Santiago says the religions are separated from science for a reason. And then Zwin Tran said, white shirt guy has a sexy voice though. Movie guy. And Parissa says, just cuz. All right, So I'd like to thank the Cosmic Crew members for being here. Hey, shout out to Cosmic Crew Chef, Mimi Soul, and our Cosmic Crew guy, Tony Snow. I am Mother Alien. And y'all make sure y'all like and subscribe. See y'all next time.